An old tunnel, a tunnel that's kind of been misunderstood.
Shrouded in mystery.
There's been several videos that have suggested either it's a flue for the Hoffman kiln or a drain for the Blue Lagoon. It's quite a substantial arch, really.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see the spoil workings coming out the portal. And I wonder how many people walk across there and never even know that this is it.
Morning, welcome to Derbyshire. We're in a little village of Harpur Hill. We've come to have a look at an old tunnel, haven't we? A tunnel that's kind of been, not misguided. What's the phrase?
Shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, misunderstood. That's the word I was looking for over time, is because there's not a lot of information about this little tunnel. Now, if you're walking along the Cromford High Peak Railway, when you get to Harpur Hill, you might not even know that this is beneath your feet. But it's a great little piece of history. We've got Phil, who you're probably familiar with, hearing his voice. We've got Vinny here today. You know, he's into his tunnels, aren't you? We're going to go and have a look inside and just discuss what we think the tunnel was for. So you're from round here, aren't you, Vinny? And I think you've done a bit of research on this tunnel quite in depth. And there's a couple of theories.
There was one suggesting it was a flue for the nearby Hoffman kiln, but it's a bit too far north, really, to have been any relevance to that. And another one was a drainage culvert for the Blue Lagoon, which is only something that came after the quarry had shut.
Yeah.
You know, so
the timings don't quite.
Yeah, it
line
didn't
up.
take a lot of research really to work out that it was, you know, a tramway of sorts for a spoil tip that we stood on here.
So we've got a photo, haven't we, where we can see where we're stood here, where the tunnel spits out. We're on a mound here right above the village down there, look, and if you see on that photo, you can see it all cascading out. But that just adds evidence that they was bringing stuff out of this little passageway, this little tunnel, and dumping it down here. What was at the other side then? Because we're talking 1830s, aren't we? And I can't say I'm clued up on the chronological history of all the quarries here. But
They're normally pack or start, aren't they? When the railways came, that's when the big boom came and connections were made and the quarries output all went up.
Yeah.
So it might have been at the same time, or it might have been slightly earlier. I don't know the dates, to be honest, on it. I mean, there's how many quarries around here, you struggle to find out what they're called, because a lot of them changed the name, didn't they, from what they were first called, and they were amalgamated into another one. And there's little ones you can't tell anymore. It's a real minefield trying to actually get to know what they are.
But that's the railway on top. That's to say, that's the Cromford and High Peak, the original line there. Look, it's not far above, is it? And there has been other videos where people have been in here and explored this and offered various theories. Some nicely produced videos, all with good merit. How far in can you go into this then?
100 yards, 120 yards, you reckon?
All right, that far?
Yeah, because it starts to curve, almost like an S shape, and then straightens out. You'll see when you get to the other end, it really starts to climb before it's been infilled or collapsed. And it's not a refuge, that. Looks to be like an access for this side of the railway line.
Above you, Paul.
All right, what's that?
Hard to say, really. I mean, there's no depth here, so no need to be a shaft here, but as to what it might have been, I'm not sure. Whether it's just been broken through or something.
It's hard to say whether that's accident or deliberate, because it looks to me like it'll bricked across and it's sometimes it's come down. Is that the concrete sprayed it?
No, I don't think so. That's on that grassy embankment, you know where the railway sleepers were?
Yeah.
So there's not really any depth here, maybe a foot if that, and obviously the further we get in, the deeper it gets, and then it comes out the other side of the hill.
So we're just literally just underneath the surface here. Yeah. That's just capped off. Let's go a bit deeper.
There's been several videos that have suggested either it's a flume for the Hoffman kiln, which is a lot further south of here, or a drain for the Blue Lagoon, which only existed after the quarry had closed. It doesn't take a lot of research to find some overhead photographs from 1918, and they show this as a tram route overhead, and you can see the spoil tips on the far side. So,
I mean, I must admit, when I come through here for the first time, I didn't know exactly what it was, and I was uneasy with the theory that it was some kind of a wind, what do you call it, for
like
that
a flue.
It just didn't make sense because it's just not even near it, is it?
No. Well, you'll see further up there's a refuge. Why else would you need a refuge?
Yeah. I mean, looking at it now with what Adrian's mindset, this is a, let's say, tramway tunnel. I feel like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I can, you know, I've been in a fair field, and it looks like a tramway tunnel.
It's tall, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It feels that the dimensions would be for something that you would find people or horses. Yeah. It's too tall. The dimensions aren't right for a culvert or anything like that. But look at the brickwork. What's this? It was red brick, wasn't it? Just back there, look, and then it's changed. Look at that. It suddenly changed to a different type of brick. Is that blue engineering brick?
Yeah, blue brindles are they called?
So what they've done here? Have they done a strength? Is this, you know?
Well, I think they've left this is the natural rock. Obviously deemed this strong enough, and they've just done the bits that needed shoring up. I mean, it's quite a substantial arch, really.
This has got overtones of a lead mine. Look at this sort of stacking here, like deads are stacked up in the lead mines. Quite good craft work, isn't it?
It's interesting, isn't it? They're just different layers and sections. It's like it should be questioned. Why would they just change is it different time periods, or did they just...
It might have been a case at this bit. You see it in some railway tunnels that if it doesn't need shoring up with an arch, they'll just leave it as a natural rock if it's got enough support in itself, and it saves on cost and time, really.
And I suppose now we're getting deeper deeper underground than that shallow bit that we've just...
I mean, they've showed that this wall, there is some bits of wood dotted along this wall here. Same as there. Look.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look at this here, this so-called stemple. I mean, that's been packed in there, look.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not doing much now. But they were put there for a reason, and we see stemples in lead mines all the time, don't we? And quite often they use as an indicator, aren't they, to see if anything's moving, shall we say, in the strata. But it's a bit of a mystery. And yet, they've knocked a bit of height off by leaving this natural area here, unless it's sunk, because you've not nearly lost a foot's worth of height here.
Yeah.
I wonder how they get to make the decision on, okay lads, we'll not bother this bit, we know it's strong, we don't need to brick it. How do they know? Because when you walk into here and you see brick each side, you think, hey, look, I don't like the look of this, you know.
But that bit there, that's what's 4 bricks thick, whereas obviously on this side it's a bit less. They've only got 3 on this side.
I mean, if someone thought this might have been connected to kiln in some respect, you might think, well, it's fire bricks they're using here, isn't it? So they might have been led down a bit of an avenue with it.
When you look at the alignment, though, you know, once you've walked in, you sort of look on old maps and you can work out the alignment. It just heads in completely the wrong direction. I mean, the only thing that throws a little bit of question in the theory is this step here. But you can't rule out ground erosion over time. Now that things have changed in the quarry and water drains slowly this way, it is going to wash things away, but...
It's quite a drop, isn't it, that?
It's strange, isn't it? Smack bang next to a refuge as well. I mean, that is that a communication line? What would that be there then?
It's like an old... almost looks like quite a large nail, doesn't it? Or a bracket or something like that.
I mean, if you have a bracket, that implies there would have been some sort of communication system or something from one end to other on regards if anything were coming through. And, you know, there's always a story and it's quite hard to piece together what it could have been.
I mean, there's like almost 2 squares. Well, this one's quite uniform almost. I mean, is that the natural rock floor, or have they been put there as braces for almost a ramp, you know, which would help the carts coming out.
What, to gain momentum?
Yeah.
I understand, yeah. But it's just coincidence that here we've got a profile change in the tunnel, you've got a refuge, you've got this step, and there's some sort of pin chucked into the wall there, so, yeah, mysterious.
What's this then? That's just a little refuge area.
It is, yeah.
It's tiny though, isn't it?
It's small, isn't it? And, you know, if let's say you were just on about dimensions earlier, like, let's say for argument's sake, an horse coming down here with some wagons in. Why would people be walking willy-nilly in here anyway, you know? I don't know.
It's obviously served a purpose, you know, and having been in several railway tunnels, it screams out refuge.
Which does add more weight even to that theory it is a railway tunnel.
Yeah.
Well, it does that, that's it, you're right.
It's probably not easy to tell on the camera, but you are climbing all the way into the quarry.
Well, water's running, so there you go.
Yeah. Just need to find that elusive bit of rail or something, you know. An old chair in the floor or something.
I mean, this is... That's for a reason as well, though.
Yeah.
That's not just a random piece of stone that's fell out, I don't think.
No, because there's a steel plate either side.
To protect whatever was in there. Which, you know, it suggests that if it was for what people say was to do with ventilation, you wouldn't have features like this.
No.
Your ventilation doesn't need any man-made things inside, does it?
What dates are we looking at for this then? When did it go out?
Well,
do we think?
It only appears very briefly on I think it's a 1930s Ordnance Survey map. Other than that, there's not really any trace of it, but there is, as I said, there's some overhead pictures from 1918.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see the spoil workings coming out the portal. But you can't make out what went on inside the quarry. But as they did with most of these quarries around here, they work the faces with multiple narrow gauge lines, so they've forever changed them. So
that's it.
The landscape's forever changing. It's hard to keep track.
Lay them and set them up willy-nilly.
That's it. Yeah. As they might, they keep progressing or moving them, and it might be what happened to the rails in here. They might have been required elsewhere, and they've took them away.
I mean, and you've got a century's worth of water running through here that's going to reshape the base of it.
Because if this spoil was along the track, let's call it, it would have been all high, and it's just been bulldozed across in more recent times, because that went in the past one. No traffic getting past it. Plus, you notice it's nowhere near at all now. I'm bending over almost here, look.
Yeah.
When we first come in, I could stand.
Yeah.
You notice it gets narrower as well, and the bottom starts to pinch in a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a horseshoe.
Yeah, it's changing its dimensions. So, any theories of ponies coming in and out, obviously, I don't know, it's definitely getting smaller, isn't it? Getting more restrictive. And I wonder how far do you think go from where it come out then? Have you been able to work it out?
I've made a rough estimate on a map. It's hard, really, and it's hard when you're underground to determine where you are above, especially with the bends we've come through. So you see at the end here, you can see how the tunnel really starts to climb, the walls really start to...
Like a slingshot.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
So have you been up to what, and see if this is a true portal, or is it a collapse, or what, Vinny? What's your opinion on it?
I don't think it's collapsed. I don't think it might be the Tramway portal either, but I think what's happened here is we're mining inside the quarry. They might have broke through the end of this tunnel and then just infilled it with waste.
Just probably knocked out a bit of what would have been the...
Because if you look at the end of the brick lining, it's almost been it's almost uniform in the respect that it's been rather than broken under a collapse, I think.
Yeah, look at that up there.
Because the stone on the lower still carries on. I mean, I've been in a quarry to try and determine where it...
Come out.
Yeah, but there's been that much change in there.
So that's where the water's coming in then?
Looks to be, coming like under the back of the lining.
Incredible, isn't it? It always finds a way in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's fair to say that the deeper in this tunnel you get, the condition is deteriorating, isn't it?
Yeah.
As regards structural.
Oh yeah, look at
Holes on this and cracking.
You can see from here now, you can see it's quite a steep drop.
Yeah, we can see it at a human perspective. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, that is actually almost inclined, isn't it, that way, you know?
Yeah. Obviously, ground's changed over time and stuff's been washed in and out, and
So
people's mucked about with it.
Starts behaving itself in about, what, 10 or 15 metres, then it's fairly straight. It's just this bit here, isn't it?
I can't see, when you look at that end, that there would have been more than one track in here.
No.
So you couldn't have one loader going down and empties coming up.
As regards how they'll power, there won't be steam engines going through it, will
No.
there? No chance. There's no steam, is on a sort or anything. And if it's on a gradient, then again you need a brake, don't you, of some sorts. I mean, I don't know, maybe horses were tethered to back and they were able to control speed.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know how much weight was on these trucks or how many trucks came
Well, that's
through.
it, there might have just been one at a time, you know. And it's,
There must have been some system of operation, because if they bring in a few ponies or whatever through with trucks, you don't want them meeting in the middle, do you?
No.
Or you're going to come a cropper, so, you know, there must have been some sort of system in operation for it to, you know, operate safely.
Yeah.
Is there just that one refuge point left then?
Just the one refuge, yeah.
So yeah, definitely downhill now, mate.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Very easily.
Yeah, but when you can see here how it drops away quite steeply, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Just before that bend.
That's right, yeah.
You couldn't really notice it as we was walking up, but
Very undulating, very, very twisty.
it does seem like a lot of effort just to remove spoil from the quarry. When the quarry was such a big place, you think there would have been alternative places to dispose of it.
So this was, I suppose, put in at the same time they built a Cromford and High Peak above.
Possibly, yeah.
I wonder if the bit with the railway, they obviously have just cut and covered, haven't they?
There's lots of unknowns, as I guess there is with any things like this of this age. So a lot of times you can only surmise of what you think might have been. I mean, what we said coming up, that maybe these blue bricks are a later addition, because majority of this we've come through has been red.
Yeah.
And there's just these two sections here where this natural rock is that have been perhaps altered to strengthen them or added in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no brick expert, but blue brick tend to be more widely used, sort of late 1800s, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's a great shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Curious, just this one little bit in the middle that they just left it natural like that.
We just pack these sides up with some bits of timber. You see, I just noticed that. It almost looks like a candle's been there, you see it? It's almost charred it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, good.
As if the candle's been resting on here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, isn't it that? Yeah, and the kind of next one above's one.
that possibly there as well, it's a bit sooty, isn't it? You know, when you look at the rest of it, it's... what was the reference of this, why not just a straight run? Why?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're in quite a big S-shape alignment here. It's
Yeah, and it is hard to get your bearings when you're well, like you said, what's the trajectory by the time you get to that bit that we saw the end?
Yeah. Yeah, so that bit above ground with the sleepers on is basically just here, and the sleepers span that crossing.
Yeah.
I mean, this has obviously been built, when the tunnel's been built, so it must have been access to the quarry on this side of the railway,
I don't know, there were sidings, weren't there?
But there was also a loading point, weren't they, not far around the corner?
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was...
easy access, just tip something down there.
Taking a picture.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
a commemorative photo. Cheers, Phil.
Oh, you in the tunnel? Last one I remember you in was Butley Gang Road, wasn't it?
Well, we went in one in May, didn't we?
Yeah, all right.
Into Norwich.
I think that operation had probably, took a chunk out of my memory banks. I don't know, but
It's a proper portal as well. Like you've got the stone copings, but just on this section. Nowhere else along that wall.
Great that survives. I mean, like you say, you'd never get the full idea from just standing here, would you?
And I wonder how many people walk across there and never even know that this is here.
And as always with things like this, you know, when things are a little bit vague on maps and there's not a massive amount of information, and then you won't have to look online about this, and there's lots of debate on what it was actually for, you know. So if you know any more information, then always feel free to leave a comment.
This is the Hoffman kiln, or what's left of it.
Hoffman kiln. You can see this from above, can't you? Really,
yeah.
really definitely defined.
I don't know what that bit there was, but obviously.
Tippling point.
Yeah.
But you know, with the kilns, they had like the channel or the trackway that ran under them, didn't they? Well, I wonder if that's one side there that they've blocked up.
I thought that were a platform there, weren't they? For chucking.
Yeah, but look, I don't know.
But I saw it on pictures.
Because it would tally with. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Could be underground.
Maybe.
Oh, you think that's a blocked off? Okay, I just assumed it was like a buffer.
Well, you imagine there was like an oval shape, weren't they?
Yeah.
It ran round and then come out that side.
But didn't the tramway run round it like a moat?
I don't know. We'll have to look at some pictures.
Yeah, we did come here, didn't we, Phil, when we did this section when we were doing his Cromford High Peak series, but I don't think we were really prepared for the stuff around all the quarry stuff around it.
I think it was a bit of a hit and run, wasn't it, back then?
Yeah.
Tramrail. There you go, you see.
We're all right in remembering that the railway never connected to this Hoffman lime kiln. The tramway that ran around it was like an independent, not unconnected
That's right.
setup, yeah. Thinking back to the dates, the Cromford High Peak through here would close as a through line by 1890,
Yeah.
1890s, wasn't it? But it was still open here because it was like a. Oh, I should remember this. All the videos, but it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was open to Labman Low, wasn't
That's
it?
it, yeah.
Yeah, it was left
Because there was
to
a good
Labman
yard,
Low,
wasn't
yeah.
there, I think, there.
That's it. So what's this? This is the Blue Lagoon. Wow.
You just see outline of one of the cars there, dark outline. You just make it out.
No.
It's just there, like a dark.
No,
You're best off in summer when it's at its lowest.
Yeah.
Because they almost come out the water.
What, they actually drive out like, do they?
Yeah, just drive straight out. Yeah. It's changed somewhat. I mean, where is anyone's guess really? But I imagine it possibly on this ridge here somewhere. That's when they've been working that face.
Oh, okay. I mean,
It's only going to take machines 5 minutes to put a lot of boulders and rubber in front of it all put.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
could be anywhere. I mean, it could be.
It could be under where we stood.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
So we're summarising that this area is where the tunnel came out, where we were stood at the end of that portal, where all the boulders and rubble, like that, were just blocking the way out. So we're on top of the spoil heap now, aren't we then? Right above it. So where's the tunnel then? Here.
Not far off where that telegraph pole is. It's
Right.
just to the right of that. So it's quite a way down, really.
And that's coming underneath, snaking its way through somehow. And then we think coming out below that face over there. That seems a long way, doesn't it, from up here?
Or did it? I mean, it might just have come out the other side of this spoil originally.
Yeah.
And it was used when they worked that face. When you look at the size of that face, it's just absolutely monstrous. So it would have been years and years of. And as things have changed and they've dumped more spoil up here, they've perhaps no use for the tunnel anymore and decided we'll just bury it. The inconvenience.
Well, thanks to Phil, and especially a big thanks to Vinny for the research behind this one. It's a tunnel, but with no official record, no clear documentation, but a growing amount of evidence. When you actually stand inside, it becomes very hard to explain it is anything other than a tramway. Yet so many mysteries remain, including where it actually went. If you've enjoyed this one, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a look at some of my other videos, especially the ones around the Cromford and High Peak Railway. Thanks for watching, and a big thank you to all my channel supporters as always. We'll see you on the next video. Ta-ra!